Hotep Senu Hotep Senu Hena Senut Tiren Isha Gandugu Kemet. How you doing, brothers and sisters? It's been a minute actually. Oh, hold on. I need to reduce the volume here. Okay. Actually, it's a good thing. It's been about a month. The last time I went live was October 11, and today is November 8. So minus 3 days, it's been a month since the last time I did a live stream. Let me check the quality of the sound. Oh, as a matter of fact, I will check that after so I don't forget the title of the video that I'm going to address today. If there are any people in the place to be, I see there's a few. If you don't mind, just type a message to let me know that you can hear me loud and clear. But today, mainly, I want to talk about a video on YouTube entitled Manuscript Evidence for the Bible. It's been uploaded a year ago. It has 12,000 views. And the user who uploaded that video has 8,000 subscribers. In that video, we have several scholars. Now that I said the title, I can check the sound quality. Where does that? It's the advert. Bear with me. Oh, we have unapologetically African Race First, who wrote Grand Rising. I have a little wordplay with Ra there. Welcome. I think it's the first time I see your username. So unless you have changed your username and your logo, actually it says RBG. Now the sound sounds good. So unless you have changed your username, that's beautiful. Let me know if it's the first time you actually come on the chat. I've made a few notes. That video that I mentioned, there's first of all the thumbnail. The thumbnail comes from that video, and it talks about a passage in the Bible that I was unaware of. It's in the New Testament. Oh yes, indeed. So unapologetically African Race First. Well, yes, it's my first time. Well, great. Are you actually subscribed to my channel, or you just happen to stumble upon it? Because if you don't know, there's a video entitled Kemet and Ma'ad Before Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, and I really recommend that you watch it. It's about 45 minutes long, and I think you will really like it. I'm just sharing the link in the chat. As a matter of fact, you know what? I would do better. I will go in order. I'll first share the video that I was talking about, so people can catch it in the chat. Now, when it comes to the messages in the chat, for those who don't know, as soon as the live stream is over, the chat will not necessarily appear. It usually takes some while. Can't tell you exactly how long, but it might take like 15 minutes, half an hour, maybe an hour. So the chat messages always appear. It just takes some time. So first, I'm sharing manuscript evidence for the Bible. Now, I'm sharing the video, Kemet and Ma'at, which is actually in the description section of this video, down below. Now, that being said, the thumbnail was the thumbnail appeared in that video, manuscript evidence for the Bible, in the part where there's this mention of Mark chapter 2, when Jesus healed a paralyzed man. And if you look at the thumbnail, you will see that it's depicting a paralyzed man. So the interesting thing is that In that depiction, Jesus and the rest of the people are actually black. So it's a depiction of black Jesus and other people. And I find it interesting. I think they're trying to appeal to black people particularly by showing that, but that's just a detail. It's just a detail, because of course you will see iconography or depictions of portraying Jesus Christ, and all through the video it shows white people, but all of a sudden you have that depiction that shows black people. I mean, black people for Jesus and his companion. You see, I think you understood the point. Now, that being said, when this video starts, it talks about two individuals, two scholars, and we are told that they traveled to Egypt in search of manuscripts, and that they came across a manuscript just nearly sticking out of the sand, on the ground, on the floor. You understand what I'm saying? So in the first place, they traveled to Egypt. They are Europeans. They traveled to Egypt hoping to find some manuscript. And almost miraculously, in the case of great coincidence, they happened to just walk on top of a manuscript, like a part of a manuscript sticking out. So that's how they found some manuscript. Great coincidence. You would think that nobody walked in their path before, or that the wind happened to push enough sand away right before they walked in that area. But that's not the main point. That's just an observation. Now, you are told about different manuscripts for the Bible, particularly the New Testament. And you will notice that the dates on that documentary, and you have plenty of scholars, plenty of PhDs, and also you have some THDs. I wasn't aware of that title before. The dates given are 4th century, 2nd century, and so on, 3rd century, and so on. Now, there is one manuscript or some manuscript that were found, and first it was believed to date from the 4th century, 400 years after the lifetime of Jesus Christ. Then some other scholars figured, no, it must be dated from the 2nd century. And then someone said it should be around the 1st century, or the first half of the 1st century, something like that. But then later on, no, actually 2nd century. So you can see how unprecise, I don't know if unprecise is a word, but you can see how it's not precise. Okay. I don't remember the name of this manuscripts they were talking about with the date changes, but you have the link to this documentary. I want to say that with that documentary, it's interesting to see the papyri, how they were actually made. I've seen how they are made when I went to Kemet in 2012. But it's just interesting to see how it's made. It talks about, different records, ancient records, how they were made, how they were preserved, and stuff like that. So I think that part is interesting. Now, the things that, should I say the majority, or should I say the greatest part of the New Testament manuscripts are in the Greek language. Now, at the time of Jesus Christ, the lingua franca was Aramaic. So we are told. The people who controlled that area were the Romans, who spoke Latin. But the manuscripts happen to be in Greek. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Paul is said to have been a Greek speaker. And many people say that Paul is the father of Christianity. But I leave it there. Food for thought. Food for thought, like they used to say back in the days. Now, we are told about the Council of Nicaea, and one or two of the scholars interviewed for that documentary, at least one, he was saying that, well, people say that it was in the Council of Nicaea that they chose which book to keep for the Bible and so on. And that idea has been popularized in the book, the Da Vinci Code, blah, 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 blah. Well, way before, now I don't know how long it took for the movie Da Vinci Code to come out. I don't know how long it was after the book release. Actually, you know what? I'm going to have a look just to have an idea. Just to have an idea. Because I'm pretty confident that we've been talking about the Council of Nicaea, and when I say we, I mean people online, way before the film. Now, the film is 2006, and the novel is 2003. Okay, that's quite early. It's quite early. It's quite early on. Because I started my website in 2004. Now, I don't remember in which date I found out about the Council of Nicaea, because I knew a little something before I started the website. But anyway, now, I forgot to show the comments. That was the first two comments that I read. And now we have Inspired One. How you doing, brother? So, I've heard several people say, no. In the Council of Nicaea 325, they did not pick and choose which books to keep and leave out for the Bible. Well, what's for sure is that at one point, something to that extent had to happen, even if it was not during a council. It had to happen. Why? Because we have the Apocrypha. So it will be interesting to know when, how, and who decided, okay, those books from Apocrypha is not part of the main corpus, not part of the codex. You understand what I'm saying? Speaking of codex, they will tell you about the Codex Vaticanus, and they will mention the Codex Sinaiticus. I think I might have made a video about the Codex Sinaiticus. Now, Inspired One wrote, Council of Nicaea confirms the Trinity. But then again, when you look at those codex, the dates is roughly around the same. Now, I could say so many things, because the dates are usually 4th century, 3rd century, sometimes it says 2nd century. And at one point, one of the scholars said, well, those manuscripts, we have reasons to believe, I'm paraphrasing, but we have reasons to believe that they were in circulation 100 years, before they were written, which makes them come to the conclusion that those manuscripts, or the originals from which they were copied, had to be in circulation during the lifetime of Jesus Christ. Now, this documentary is obviously produced by some pro-Christians, because amongst all the scholars, none of them challenged Christianity or the writings of the Bible in any way whatsoever. They are all in agreement with it. And they seem to have more than a little problem with Bart Ehrman, who has greatly challenged the writing of Christianity, particularly the New Testament. As a matter of fact, one scholar who said that he debated Bart Ehrman 3 times. Now, Bart Ehrman, if you're not unaware of him, he made a lot of Christians happy with one of his latest books called Did Jesus Exist? And one of his famous books is called Misquoting Jesus. And that book is mentioned. And the scholar who said that he debated Bart Ehrman 3 times, he said this: tens of thousands of people have abandoned the Christian faith because of Bart Ehrman's writings and Misquoting Jesus. So Misquoting Jesus is one of the best sellers of Bart Ehrman. Bart Ehrman caught some heat with his latest book, notably from Richard Carrier, but Bart Ehrman declined to debate Richard Carrier. Hey, you're under no obligation to debate. A book was written, Richard Carrier wrote, and other people wrote as well. But I digress. But you can see that they have more than a little problem with Bart Ehrman, because that was one mention of Bart Ehrman. Bart Ehrman is mentioned a fair bit of time during this documentary. Maybe he's the person that's mentioned the most, or one of the people that is mentioned the most in that documentary. Now, they'll tell us about the oldest fragment of the New Testament, and it's known as P52. P standing for papyrus, if I'm not mistaken. Now, it is no bigger than the size of a credit card. The oldest known fragment of the New Testament is no bigger than a credit card. And the scholar who works at the place where that fragment is located, he said, people will often get emotional in front of it. They will want to touch it, kiss it in some cases. They will want to touch it and kiss it in some cases. Understandably, they will want to pray in front of it. A fragment that is not complete, that is about the size of a credit card. This is the reaction of believers, of Christians, when they see it. Why am I highlighting that fact? When it comes to Africa, or Kemet in particular, we have plenty of artifacts that are complete. Not fragments like P52. And we have full texts about rulers, about workers, about priests, and so on. I took my son to the museum yesterday. As usual, you barely see any black people, but I saw a black woman with her daughter, who was quite young. And I remember seeing another young black lady who was by herself. There's a part in the Louvre Museum where, let me pronounce it right, where they show the writings and they explain the phonetic values of the letters, and they show Alexander written with the hieroglyphs. And there was a lady about my age, I would say, about my generation, and her son had this little book, and he was drawing, taking notes. And when I see that, it makes me sad, because as usual, we don't have black people where there's so much artifacts attesting to the grandeur, to that history. You see? But when they have something that is incomplete and about the size of a credit card, I mean, we have pylons and statues that are so huge, full of writing. But I leave it there. Towards the end of the documentary, the main speaker or the presenter says, we traveled throughout Europe. We visited museums, libraries. We've looked at the oldest manuscripts of the Greek New Testament. And Nazi says that he is located in the Vatican. I remember because I went there. And many of you will say, well, it's no brainer, it's no rocket science to know what the Vatican is. If they show you the main building, St. Peter's Square, you will know. But the particular place where he was, you remember because you have some, don't want to say barriers, but some things that you have to pass through like that. Like sometimes you have queues, they're not straight. They make them like this so that when there's a lot of people, it's just more convenient. The word for that thing, those little things, this iron thing escapes me. But check it out. I don't mean to toot my own horn, but you've seen me traveling through Europe. You've seen me visiting museums. You've seen me going to at least one library, the National Library in France, where those books from the video White Semites Black Awakening are from. And you have seen that a few of them are in English. Some of them. One of them, if I'm not mistaken, is called the Oxford Encyclopedia of the Near East or Ancient Near East. And there's several volumes. And he also said, we've looked at the oldest manuscripts of the Greek New Testament. And I have shown you oldest. Well, I don't even need to say oldest. I've shown you originals. I've shown you documents dated 1500 BC, 2000 BC, and even further than that. Now, that presenter said, in conclusion, talking about all the manuscripts, he said, I think you really are reading the Word of God. They have a problem because several scholars have worked and highlighted some inconsistencies and many things that people were unaware of. So they're trying to come to some conclusion, reaffirm the so-called soundness of the historicity or biblical historicity, and they're trying to reassure their believers who have some doubts because of scholarship. So he said, I think you really are reading the Word of God. And right after he says that, there's the conclusion, which is a voiceover. You know, like coming soon near you, in theaters near you. And the voice says, and that's the last thing from the documentary. After that, you have the credits. So that's the last thing you hear. Now, well, I will read this first, and then I will greet the brother who just came in. And I will read also Inspire One's last message. The voiceover, the conclusion of this documentary says, he says, that's what it says. So the next time you read the stories of Jesus, remember the incredible body of evidence inscribed on these fragments. Let me repeat. So the next time you read the stories of Jesus, remember the incredible body of evidence inscribed on these fragments. Incredible body of evidence, and the oldest known fragment for the New Testament is an incomplete papyrus that is about the size of a credit card, brothers and sisters. And we have statues, we have plenty of papyruses, we have plenty of coffins. Inside the coffins, we have writing, we have pilings with writings, we have statues with writings, we have vases, jewelry with writing. But I will be glad to say, well, you know what? When I go to the Louvre museums, just like all the other museums that I've been throughout Europe, I will be glad to say, well, I see a fair bit of black people. And I'll be glad to say that and add, they don't get emotional in front of the artifacts. They don't want to touch the artifacts. They don't want to kiss the artifacts in some cases. And they don't want to pray in front of these artifacts. But I cannot even say that because I'm not even in a position to say I see a fair bit of people in museums. I regularly see some people, some black people in the museums. It's real sad. So brothers and sisters, there is surely a museum that is not far from where you are staying. Go over there and have a look. And if you have children, take them along with you. Now, I was very glad because I showed to my son his name written. I did not expect him to remember it because I was planning on showing it to him the other times I would take him, and also show him from books, show him on the screen. To my amazement, he remembered that particular glyph that spells his name. I told him he has a Kemetic name. I told him his name comes from ancient Egypt and the original name is Kemet. Now, I don't think he remembers that. He says Africa. He's 7 years old. But on a few different artifacts, I will show him, hey, you see that? You see that? He said, yeah, that's my name, that's my name, that's my name. I was happy and proud as well. So since he has already identified and remember the glyph that spells his name, then earlier than I expected, I can start teaching him some of the glyphs. So that's mainly what I wanted to say. Now let me read Inspire One's message. He wrote, most scholars acknowledge the probability of someone like a historic Jesus, but not the biblical Jesus. Biblical Jesus is a parable. And Anthony Harris wrote Peace Hotel. Now, brothers and sisters, before I go and grab something to eat, so then I can go back to work, feel free if you have any comments, any statements, any questions, but be quick because I will not wait for long. We have 10 people in attendance. Take advantage. And for those who don't know, I am giving Medu Nature lessons. So feel free. You can register directly on YouTube by clicking the join button that should appear at the bottom of the video, of the videos, actually, of all the videos. So let me know, brothers and sisters, if you have any statements or comments or questions, just, take advantage. The last time I live streamed, like I was saying at the beginning, was about a month ago. Okay, nothing. So I guess we should cut it a day, right? No problem. I will put the outro. Stay safe, stay healthy. And if I'm allowed to by the nature, I will definitely holler back at you. Hotel. Now, for the record, for those who don't know, I'm giving Medu Nature classes. And here, that's the flyer. Okay? So, those who are interested, feel free to holler at me. If you're not interested, it's cool. But I recommend that everybody who has not yet seen the video Kemet and Ma'at Before Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, then watch it. It has about 300,000 views and really deserves to have a lot more.
I just want to let everyone know who's listening in now and who's going to listen to this stream in the future. I just had my first Meta Netia class by Brother Shaka today, and I've had other Meta Netia lessons by other teachers, and I can tell you right now, the brother is the best in the game. He is that was one of the best classes I've ever had, ever. So if you're interested in learning the Meta Netia, if you're interested in getting the basics of it, Brother Shaka is an awesome teacher. Get with him, and it's extremely affordable. This brother is giving us his time and his skills, and he's basically giving it away. I mean, I just consider it a donation. You know what I'm saying? So if anybody's interested in learning the Meta Netia, get with this brother right here. He's an awesome teacher. And I'll end with that.
Hotep Senu, Hena Senut. This is Julie, also known as Servant of Yah, and I'm currently taking the Medu Netia classes with Brother Shaka, and it has been an amazing experience. Only 2 lessons so far, and I feel like I've been taking the classes for months, just with the how in depth he goes into the vocabulary words, the construction of the language, the grammar. It's been immeasurable, the experience. And one thing that comes across, hands down, is his extreme passion for teaching this to anyone who is willing to learn and has an interest in learning. So I highly suggest, if you are interested, even a minimal interest, that you subscribe to the classes with Brother Shaka. It's such a nominal amount for how much you get. I know, like, our last class was over 2.5 hours. It felt like 2 minutes, but because that's how, involved you are in what he's teaching and how he teaches and how compassionate he is about what he teaches. Also with sharing materials free of charge, no question, no doubt. It's just what he does. He doesn't have to, but he does. And so I just wanted to give a short testimonial about the class and the effectiveness of the class. And all of that is attested to how studied Brother Shaka is. So I highly recommend anyone with a minimal interest that you do sign up for the Medu Netia class. Hotep.
Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, which is Ma'at Forever. Don't forget to watch the video entitled Kemet and Ma'at. Don't forget to share Kemet and Ma'at on my channel on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, or other social media that you use. Email, text messages, you name it. Those who wish to donate can do so on paypal.me/Ma'at Forever.